Hello guys, welcome to Nomad Sam. This is a long overdue video, and in this video I'm going to share my travel tips to China. So here we go. For those of you who are new to the channel, just for your information, we did a China trip in May 2017 and did a comprehensive 12-part series. And to have a look at it, please go to the I button. China is a huge country, so unless you are planning to spend a month or a half away from your work in China, there is no way that you can see the entire country. So going by popular wisdom and a lot of research, we decided to cover 3 of the key cities of China, which is Beijing, Shanghai and Xi'an. And I think we were pretty to the point with this one, because these 3 cities, according to us, really summed up the entire Chinese experience in a very good way. The culture, the history, the prosperity and the development that has happened in China over the last so many years sums it up in these 3 cities. To catalog the travel tips better, we have divided the video into 7 major sections. When to go, currency exchange, travel in China, communication and language barrier, shopping in China, food, and some quirky facts about China. Starting with tip number 1, when to go. The most important part in deciding when to visit a country is the weather. So March to May and September to November, the spring and the fall season are the best time to visit China, because the summers of July, August and the winters from December can get very hot and very cold respectively. And unfortunately, the winter months come with an additional problem of smog, which has been a major problem for China in the last couple of years and has been really affecting the life of the people over there. So unless you are ready to wear masks and go around, it is better to avoid the winter season, and also just to avoid any kind of health complications. Second point is the holiday season that you need to avoid. Now, China being a populous country, you cannot be traveling when it's a holiday season in China. So 2 times when you have to avoid visiting China would be the Chinese national holidays in the first week of October and the Chinese New Year's, which falls in the last week of January and the first week of February. Now, China, the prices can really skyrocket and the places can be so crowded that everything will be queued up, right up from your restaurants to places of attraction to ticketing counters. So guys, if you have a choice, please avoid these 2 times as a major recommendation. Tip number 2, currency exchange in China is not very user friendly, in the sense that you do not have these outlets where you get to exchange your currency at every nook and corner. So the best place to exchange your currency is the moment you arrive at the airport in China, because according to me, they also offer some very good exchange rates, wherein as in they charge very minimum surcharge. So if you have missed it doing at the airport like we did, the second option is to go to a bank and get it exchanged. If not, then most of the big hotels have these currency exchange machines, which I found very easy. Although I also found that I think they were the most expensive when it came to surcharge. But in case of emergencies, nonetheless, it's the best option. Also, in China, dollar or any other currency is not widely accepted. So they will ask only for yuan. So you will have to get your currency exchanged to the local currency, which is yuan. And to avoid yourself the hassle of exchanging, going to a bank every time, I would prefer or recommend that you carry enough cash all the time. I would like to mention that China is world's largest user of mobile wallets, which is pretty widely used and popular way of transaction in China. But if you're a tourist who is here for a limited period of time, say 10-15 days, because of all the formalities involved in getting a mobile wallet set up, I would not recommend this way of payment. So cash is the way to go. Point number 3, travel in China, which I'll be dividing further into 2 parts, which is local travel and domestic travel, which is basically intercity travel in China. So while Shanghai, China, Beijing and China overall being the most populous country in the world, I found their subways to be the most convenient and very well disciplined. So while you are in China, in any of these cities, I would recommend strongly to use the subways. And they follow a universal way of those lines and color coding. So you don't need to worry about that part. Just buy yourself a transport card and you are good to go. And these transport cards, the best part is that they are usable in buses, they're usable in trains, and they are usable even in taxis, much to my surprise. Taxis are pretty cheap in China and will not burn a hole on your pocket. You can hop into one anytime without even thinking twice. But there's a big, big but. Traffic in Beijing and Shanghai is chaotic and almost borderline silly. And especially in peak hours, instead of getting jammed in these huge traffic jams, you would rather use the subway and not waste on your precious tourist time. So subway is the way to go in China. Secondly, since we traveled between 3 cities in China, a few tips about intercity travel in China. We booked our train as well as air tickets in advance while being in India. So 2 sites which are really helpful and I would strongly recommend them is C-Trip and E-Log. They are very easy to navigate. They give you options in English and very easy to use. You can use your own country credit card without any problem. You get a confirmation. They even call you to suggest you if there are any changes to the flight timings or the train timings. So I found them pretty helpful. Now, secondly, we traveled through an overnight train as well as we took a flight in China. So my comparison of train and flight travel. Trains were extremely luxurious, the overnight train to Xi'an, and they were pretty well on time. Whereas my experience with flights was a little disappointing. And as I had been kind of warned with my friends who had visited China earlier, and some of my colleagues, that domestic travel in China, for some reason, I really don't know, or I don't know whether it's a perception, is very chaotic. So flights are generally late. My flight from Shanghai to Xi'an, from Xi'an to Shanghai was 5 hours late. And the worst part was that all the announcements at the airport were made in Chinese and they kept on changing the gates. So if you are doing domestic travel through by flight, make sure to be very attentive and very alert on the airport just in case your flight is late. Tip number 4, communication and language barrier. So while visiting China, like many other countries that I have visited before, I'm very comfortable taking a matrix card while traveling out of India. So this is the same thing that I did this time also, and I got a very good plan and it worked very well in China. Now for all of you social media buffs out there, let me warn you that none of the Google services or the social media sites work in China. So your Google Maps, your Instagram, your Facebook and your Twitter is all blocked. So unless you take a VPN connection on your phone where you can use all of these sites, and at the same time all the big hotels or the luxury hotels will have a VPN connection. So while you are in the hotel, all your sites will work. Also lately I've heard and read after a visit that China has also banned the usage of WhatsApp. What a pity, I must say. So, but there's also a way around, like many other things around this one. So make sure you download WeChat, which is allowed in China, and everybody back home with whom you would want to communicate more often also has downloaded WeChat before your visit to China. Secondly, the language barrier. Per popular perception and a common myth, I would say that language barrier being a problem in China, well, I would say that it was the least of our issues because our experiences, our enjoyment in China was not affected at all because of the language problem or issues we had. Only you had to take care of few things before visiting China and you'll have a seamless experience. Part 1 that you need to take care is to keep the Chinese name of all the places, including the hotel that you are staying, ever ready with you all the time. Just download it beforehand. So either you take a screenshot on your phone, or I just took a printout of all the places that I knew I had to visit, including my hotel. And all you had to do is to show it to the taxi driver if you're traveling by taxi, and he takes you to the point. No issues in that also. Secondly, Pleco app on your iOS and Android was a lifesaver. So guys, it's a must have. So it punch in, type in any English word and it gives you the Chinese translation. And the best part about Pleco was that it's not internet based. So accessible everywhere with or without the internet. Just on a casual note, I know many of you may find it a little funny, but the language barrier sometimes can add to your advantage, because I feel that the fact that you are not able to ask for things and directions to every second person on the road makes you feel like an explorer. You are exploring things on your own, finding things on your own, and interpreting things on your own. So I kind of think that it adds to the magic and the drama of the place more. So guys, always look at the brighter side of things. Tip number 5, shopping in China. Now, bargaining is a sport in China. So unless you're shopping in malls or in museum shops, expect to haggle and bargain to your heart's content. Most of the times, the asking price, what the shopkeepers ask you, can be as high as 10 times the price that you actually land up paying. So guys, don't shy away from bargaining. You have to do and not get cheated by not bargaining. And to see an Indian and a Chinese bargaining was quite a sight to the eyes. So guys, bargain to your heart's content, and trust me when I say that I made my country proud. Point number 6, food. Now, food in China is something that may not be readily acceptable to the taste buds, for everybody's taste buds. So unless you are very experimental with food or taste, you may find it a little difficult to adjust to the local cuisine. But don't worry, because there are enough McDonald's and enough KFCs across China where you will find food, and to make sure that you are not left hungry. Also, Shanghai being the more cosmopolitan city, there are pockets like Xintiandi and Tianjifeng, which you should anyway visit because they are beautiful places, and they also have plenty full of restaurants catering to various international cuisines. But as a side note and as a strong recommendation, I would recommend that you do experiment with Chinese food and visit the food streets in China, because they offer some excellent cuisines, and part of experiencing the country and the culture is to experience the food. So do not be a little experimental and do not miss out on that. Finally, the 7th point covers some quirky tips about China which may come to your rescue when needed the most. So listen to them carefully. Point number 1 under that: carry your own toilet paper. Now, I know that sounds a little funny and a little unacceptable, but yes, guys, for some funny reason, I mean to say, I found the toilets and the public toilet facilities to be superb and world-class in China, but they just don't keep toilet paper, and I have not been able to figure out the reason. Maybe I'll do a little bit more research on it because I'm kind of intrigued with it. So guys, carry your toilet paper. Secondly, be ready to bend your knees, exercise your knees, because most of the public toilets in China have far and few Western commodes, and most of them are squatting style. Third, if you're not comfortable using chopsticks, I am not, and I really struggle and look like a dyslexic while using a chopstick, you have to carry your own disposable forks and spoons, because most of the street side restaurants in China do not have it and sometimes do not understand it. So yes, the best part was for me to carry my own fork and spoon everywhere I went. If you're the adventurous lot and roadies like us, please be ready to be disappointed, because China, unlike most of the countries in the world, does not allow international driving permit. You have to have a local Chinese driving license to rent out a car or a bike. So guys, that's a big no. Sum it all up, my personal Chinese experience: they are warm, friendly and helpful, and everywhere I went, right from the taxi driver to my hotel receptionist, every person was ready to help. Contrary to popular belief, China is a tourist unfriendly country. I would say that it's nothing like that, and please do not let these myths divide you from visiting one of the most beautiful countries and culturally rich country in the world. This concludes my travel tips to China, and if you've liked the video, just hit the like button, and if you've absolutely loved it, just hit the subscribe button. In fact, don't hit it, just smash it.